I often get asked, what are the top 3 things that I learned when I first started out as an energy healing practitioner back in, I'm gonna whisper this, 1992? Yeah, that was 1992. I was still a practitioner, and I still learn things. But stuff that I learned early on that made my life much easier as a practitioner, I'm gonna share some of those thoughts with you. I'm Jill Lee, founder and director of the Energy Healing Institute. And if you'd like to learn more about energy healing, being a practitioner, being your own healer, online courses, blog posts, you name it, head to energyhealinginstitute.org. So, top 3 things that I learned. Number 1, work a case, don't fluff auras. The hell do I mean by fluffing auras? What I mean by fluffing auras is not having a client come in and say, oh, I just had a really bad day. Can you just kind of, do what you do so I feel better? You could do a little of that. But if you're not working a case and they are going to quickly figure out that they only need to come see you when they've had a bad day, then you don't build a relationship with that client. You become a resource for bad days, but you're not a valued, trusted practitioner. So when I say work a case, what I'm talking about is in an initial client intake, getting information about what the client really wants to do to make a change within themselves. Do they want to work on their anxiety? Are they a perfectionist? Are they a procrastinator? Do they have difficult relationships with their children or their spouse or their boss? What is the thing that is top of mind for them that they want to evolve? And then centering the work, the treatment strategy, the subsequent intakes, the subsequent sessions around that case. As the client shifts out of whatever it is that you're working on, they then see you as a resource to their evolution and they're ready to work on the next thing. So that was a very important lesson that I learned early on, and it has stood me well for 30 plus years. Second, and this was a huge lesson for me, you make judgments, you make assumptions about how something is going to go based on your own experience. So what I learned was, don't make assumptions about how long it's going to take a client to evolve through something. Just because it took me a couple of years has nothing to do with how long it might take a client to work through something. Let me tell you the story. I had a client come into my practice and she came in because of chronic depression that she had been suffering from for 25 plus years. That's a long time, right? So we spent some time together. I taught her some skills to use to clear her energy. And the skills I'm referring to are in the Clear course that you can find on EHI's website. I taught her a brief protocol of skills that she could use to work on clearing her chakras and her aura of the depression pattern, because that's what it is. It's an energy pattern held up in the field. And because she'd had it for 25 plus years, I coached her a little bit to be patient and to understand that it might take a little bit of time for this to move through. So she made an appointment for 2 weeks later, and she came bouncing through the door and said, this is amazing. I have not had 1 minute without depression for years and years and years and years. I wake up with it every day. I go to sleep with it every night. She said, I have no depression now, none. And I thought, oh, she's having a good day. That's great. She said, no, Jill, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I am no longer depressed. I know what it feels like now to live in my body and not be depressed. 2 weeks. Wow, did I learn something? Never make assumptions about your client's ability to embrace the work and to heal. Their attachment to moving forward is what drives their ability to move forward. This client was super motivated, and she jumped right in, and she moved right through and beyond that pattern. Lesson number 3, 2013. So I'd been practicing for whatever that means, 8 plus 13, so 21 years at that point. I made some decisions. The first decision I made was to close my Boston practice office. It was a large space. I had other practitioners in the space. It was a lot of work. I was not loving the work of running the facility. And I was just ready to make a big shift in how I did what I did. I was commuting from Maine every week. It was a lot. So I made the decision. A month later, that snowballed into another decision. And I decided to leave my marriage of 20 some odd years. And for the next 6 months, while I sorted out the closing of the practice and a move to the West Coast and the ending of my marriage, I didn't live in Maine. I lived a little time here, a little time here, sometimes in hotels, sometimes a little bit in Maine. But I never told anyone what was happening because I wasn't there to be sharing my story. I was helping people evolve their experience. So one day, after being in New York State for a few days, I drove from New York State up to Boston, got to my office, and I thought, okay, I'll go get to my office and just see who's on my client roster. Usually saw 7, 8 people a day because I was only in Boston a few days a week. 7 out of 8 clients that day were thinking about leaving their partners, were leaving their partners, had just left their partners had just left them. Everybody that day was in some process of dissolution of a long-term relationship. What did I learn? You attract who you are and what you're going through. So that day prepared me like no other day for being present, being grounded, separate from my own story, to be present for my clients. And it taught me that the law of attraction isn't just about, all good things and positive vibe only. It's about you attract from where you're vibrating, no matter what that is. And so if, in fact, you're having a rough day, if, in fact, something is going on that is difficult for you, it's actually fodder for your practice. You will attract clients into your practice who are working on that as well, because they're picking up the vibe in the field.